Hello, and today we will be taking a closer look into Louisiana's Cancer Alley, a case study and analysis. A brief introduction. My name is Milana Schreiber. I'm a third-year student at UMR, and I'll be delving a little more into Louisiana's Cancer Alley. This topic I picked because it has emotional significance to me. One of my close family and friends lives within this area, and so it's important to me to know more about this and to share this knowledge as it is prevalent and part of my friend and family's day-to-day life. And it's important to know how it is affecting them as well. Today, the area referred to as Cancer Alley, also known as Industrial Corridor, refers to the stretch of parishes from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. This area is predominantly Black communities with higher concentrations of lower income families. As depicted here in the pink, these are all the Cancer Alley parishes. In Cancer Alley, chemical emission concentrations are 7 times higher than the national average, leading to increased risk of cancer and other ailments as listed here on the slide. This area produces such high concentrations as it is the home of upwards of 150 refineries, factories, and petrochemical plants, some of which are the only plants in the USA to emit carcinogenic chloroprene. Carcinogenic chloroprene is a known carcinogenic that, when exposed, increases the risk of liver, lung, and digestive cancer. As depicted here along the river, there is a strong concentration of population of Black communities along this Cancer Alley. These communities are often lower income, as stated before, who may not be able to afford to relocate or have been here across generations and are less willing to leave due to an attachment to the location. There have also been attempts to enforce policy and reduce emissions legally by the EPA, but these attempts have fallen through. Regardless, movements are aiming to help these at-risk populations in the present day. The proximity to these neighborhoods is extremely important to note as well. Depicted here in this photo is an elementary school next to one of these factories in the Cancer Alley. Public concerns had arisen for the proximity of the two, and a study was conducted and concluded that no matter where in the community they were to place the school, whether it be on the other side of the city or town, or anywhere further from this factory, it would not decrease total emissions the students would encounter. One may also think that these Black communities and the population are able to find jobs at these factories and refineries and to benefit from their presence, but the population from people in manufacturing jobs are disproportionately white, as these factories and refineries prefer hiring white people. As seen on the graph, these manufacturing jobs are taken up to 46% by white people, despite the higher concentration of Black population in these locales. Looking at the environmental justice framework, we are able to piece together the situation from the framework perspective. From the environment, we have the lower income housing communities and the refineries directly in or surrounding them, putting the families at risk and having them suffer through health issues. We have the demographics, once again predominantly Black communities and population living in larger family units in the lower income families in the urban and rural areas. Epidemiology, we have the increased rates of cancer, increased risk of respiratory issues, reproductive and birth complications, and general health issues being linked to higher chemical emissions, as well as the proximity to these emissions and exposure. Procedures, we don't have much besides the EPA pushing for policy updates and more regulation on the emissions. People are most at risk and they are not benefiting from the manufacturing jobs or refineries, these people that are most at risk. There's no current governmental aid or action to prevent these harms and these risks either. Some solutions to help this issue would be to expand regulation and legal action from the US government to limit amount of pollution concentrated to one area and reduce total allowable emissions. It would benefit to see these policies on a state level as well to protect these vulnerable communities, and from the state and government level relief or aid programs for those higher at risk, like the communities right next to these factories, would be wonderful to see, and perhaps some sort of compensation or medical aid for those who have been at risk for so long. But more action on the federal and state level should occur to help these people who are in need. And then in these next two slides, I have my sources and resources cited. And I thank you so much for coming to my presentation. This has been my presentation on Cancer Alley and the effects it is having on the people living there. Thank you so much.